So if you had $5,000, how would you go about upgrading your drone fleet? You could buy the Mavic 3 Cine package, or maybe there's a better idea. Stick around, I'll tell you my thoughts. I'm sure by now you're tired of all the Mavic 3 reviews out there on the web. People I've never heard of are doing reviews on the Mavic 3. Range tests, battery tests, camera tests, and so on. Let's just cut to the chase and say, once they sort out all the bugs, do the firmware updates, sort out any problems that may develop in the field, it's going to be a great drone. And it'll probably be head and shoulders better than the Mavic 2 Pro. And at some point down the line, I'll probably buy one. But that's not my issue. My issue is with the $5,000 Cine package. Is that really a good value? Well, let's talk about that for a few minutes. When I saw the release of this Cine package, I had what I considered an unexpected response to it. I looked at it and I thought, if I had $5,000 to spend right now, how would I actually spend that to upgrade our fleet? But let me give you a little history first. Back in June of 2017, we bought an Inspire 2, and we thought it was the most fabulous drone ever made. We flew it a lot, we loved it, took incredible pictures, and we thought it was the best there ever was. Then 2 years later, in July of 2019, we bought the Mavic 2 Pro, and we marveled at it. It was more stable, it was quicker to set up, it was easier to carry around. We marveled at its capabilities. And even though the Inspire 2 was still a superior drone, unfortunately it sat in the corner and began to gather dust. So fast forward to December of 2022, and now we have the Mavic 3 Cine package. And I began to ask myself the question, how would I spend $5,000 to upgrade our fleet? And this began a hypothetical discussion between my wife and I, where we discussed how would we spend $5,000 to upgrade our fleet. Well, the easy answer is we can buy the Mavic 3 Cine package. And we get 46 minutes of flight time. We get the Micro Four Thirds sensor, which is a big deal. We get the Hasselblad color science. We get 5.1K video resolution. We get Apple ProRes HQ. We get 1 terabyte of internal storage. We get the RC Pro controller. We get omnidirectional obstacle sensing. We get a 15-kilometer transmission range. And we get the advanced return to home feature. Or we could upgrade our Inspire 2. Now originally when we spec'd it out with the X4S gimbal and camera, and that had the 1-inch sensor on it. Now at the time that was a big deal, and we thought that was an upgrade from everything else we had. Today, not so much. When you got the Air 2S, the Mavic 2 Pro, and even the Phantom 4 Pro, all with 1-inch sensors, that's really not a big deal. But I do love the snap spin capabilities of this Inspire 2. Watch the camera rotate, and then watch the drone catch up with it at the end of the rotation. That's pretty cool. So what if we upgraded to the X5S gimbal and lens on it? Well, that would give us a Micro Four Thirds sensor. It will cost us a little over $2,000 to do that, but what would that do for us? And that would give us access to many interchangeable lenses. You can get them from DJI, Panasonic, and Olympus, and they vary in focal lengths. You can get wide angle, get telephoto, you can even get zoom. So a lot of capabilities right there. So what would be the pros and cons of doing this? Well, of course, the biggie is flight time. The Mavic 3, as it comes out, they're talking about a 46-minute flight time. The Inspire 2, about 27 minutes. So just a little better than half. And that could be a problem. But the way I look at it is I could use a smaller drone, like my Air 2S, Mavic 2 Pro, even a Mini 2, and go out and scout an area, block my shots, know how I'm going to fly my route, then pull the Inspire 2 out and go out and film. And I think I could work with that. I get 5.2K resolution. That's good. Now the lens. The Mavic 3 does not have interchangeable lenses. And if we look at the base lens that comes with the X5S, it's got an f-stop rating of f1.7 to 16. Now, if you remember, the lower the number, the better the low light capabilities. So the f.17 is a good low light capable lens, and to go to f16 Means you got a lot of dynamic range. When you compare that to the Mavic 3, it's got an f2.8 to f11. So not as good in low light, not as much dynamic range. So that's a plus for the Inspire 2 right there. And of course, if we want to add Apple ProRes, which I don't, we've got that capability. And what that allows us to do with the Inspire 2 is in the back of it, there's an option for a removable solid-state drive. And I said removable, and that's a big deal, because on the Mavic 3 Cine, that's built into it. That 1 terabyte solid-state drive is not removable. So how does that affect your workflow? You know, any good drone pilot out there that does a lot of photographic work probably changes out their SD card after every flight, just so you don't risk having that drone crash in the water somewhere and lose your data. You don't have that option with a Mavic 3. So how would you handle that? Well, you'd have to land, download that information into a remote solid-state drive, and then take off. But think about that process. If you're shooting an Apple ProRes HQ, you're recording data at somewhere over 3,700 megabits per second. That's a lot of data, and it's going to take you a lot of time to download that. You may be dead in the water for 20 minutes or so just downloading that information before you could take off again. Plus, that's draining your battery. So I think that's a bad option. Makes the Inspire 2 look a lot better on that. And very few people have talked about this. What else? Well, top speed on the Inspire 2 is 58 miles an hour. Gives you a lot more capability of high-speed action sports than compared to the Mavic 3. Now, one thing that you may or may not know is the Inspire 2 has 2 cameras. One for the pilot view and one for the video coming out of the camera, which means you can actually run 2 controllers on it. One pilot flying the drone and one working the camera. Or it's got something called Spotlight Pro, which I like a lot. If you tap on the screen for an object, car, building, person, whatever, that camera will track that no matter where the drone flies. So even though you're a solo pilot, you could have your camera tracking something as you fly any kind of route you want and get some incredible views that way. And I really like that. Or you could go the option of adding that second controller and a separate videographer if you wanted to. So still a lot of upgrade possibilities. So my wife and I finished this discussion. A few days later, I came home and I looked at the coffee table in the living room and there was a package there. Guess what was in that package? Yes, a brand new X5S gimbal and lens. So my wonderful wife had gone out, bought this brand new system for us, and now I've got a high quality rig that can still be upgraded over time. There's still the option of the X7 lens, or X7 gimbal, which is the Super 35 capabilities. Solid state drives, multiple controllers. There's still a lot that can be done with this drone, even though it's an older drone. And this keeps me from continually buying new drones to upgrade my capabilities. So even though this is an older drone, it's still upgradable even today. And you say, okay, that's great, but I don't own an Inspire 2. What are my options? Well, you got a couple of them. DJI is still selling them new. You can buy a brand new Inspire 2 with the X5S on it for $52.99. Now granted, that does not include extra batteries, extra props, fancy controller and things like that, but it would be an option for getting started. Or you look at eBay and Craigslist and some of those places, there's still a lot of Inspire 2s being sold for under $5,000 that have all these accessories with them. So that might be a good option for you. Now I know some of you that watch my channel have commented that you're going to buy the Cine package, and that's great. If that works for you, then more power to you. I'm just giving you another option and some food for thought. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And if you feel like it, please share it with your friends. That would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you so much for watching.